On September 15th, 2016, our lives were changed forever. Our absolutely perfect 7-year-old little girl, Mina was diagnosed with diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, a diagnosis that comes with a median survival of just 9 months. DIPG took away her ability to walk, to talk, to smile, and eventually to breathe. It is an unspeakable suffering that no child should ever have to endure, and no parent should ever be forced to helplessly watch. From the moment of diagnosis to her death, up to and including this very moment, the profound injustice that exists in the lack of funding and research for our children grows exponentially with every breath that we take. Ben Franklin once said, "Justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are." He was spot on. I think of those words, I look around at the things that make it to our TV screen, the things that we find worthy of sharing on social media, and I say, where is the outrage? What is more important than our children? And then I think about how in 1952, Neil Armstrong's 2-year-old daughter, Karen, was diagnosed and died from DIPG. And virtually nothing has changed in treatment options or survival rate for this uniformly fatal disease in the 55 years since her death. We must do better. Where is the outrage? And I would get angry. And then I realized, how could people possibly be angry about something that they are not aware of? Prior to September 15th, 2016, I had never heard of DIPG. Before the past 18 months, I never knew less than 4% of federal funding goes to pediatric cancer research. How would I ever know that? And quite frankly, why would I ever believe it? Why would I ever believe that we, as human beings in a civilized society, would ever allow such an injustice? It goes against all human logic. Our kids come first. It's a no-brainer. What are you talking about? But that is the reality of what's been going on. We have been failing our children day after day for as long as we can look back. We must do better. We must do better. You know, I'm often asked, Mina, aren't you angry at God? All that praying, begging for her life, and he still took her. Well, yes, of course, I wish things were different. But unfortunately, I don't get to pick who gets a miracle. I can only humbly ask, and the rest is up to him. So I don't blame him. But honestly, I blame us. I blame humanity. And I say this because I believe that next to our life, the greatest gift that God has ever given us is the gift of free will. He wants us to use that gift to love, to be kind, to be giving, and treat people the way we want to be treated. And I believe that if our priorities were where they should be, there's no question that we are capable of curing not only DIPG, but also every cancer. And if you don't believe me, let's look back. Another disease that at one time was 0% survival. Growing up in the 80s, the AIDS, HIV epidemic was a constant on television. On sitcoms, in the news, in newspapers, they even made a movie about it right here in Philly. Those platforms led to worldwide awareness. The whole world was on the same page. We had to do something. The awareness led to funding to research. And in less than 35 years, AIDS went from 0% to a treatable condition. And in fact, The research was so successful that you would never know someone with HIV today. They live relatively normal lives. They're afforded the same opportunities, live the same lifestyles as you and I. God be praised. Isn't it time that we do that for our children? And even though research and treatments have been so successful, in 2017, according to the National Institute of Health, $3 billion was allocated to AIDS research. That doesn't count the $600 million spent on a potential vaccine. That is 10 times the amount of funding given to all pediatric cancers combined during this same period. We must do better. And it gets worse. Because in 2017, all pediatric cancers combined, which, by the way, most of that money goes to the more popular cancers, which is why we see some advancements there. DIPG gets nothing. But in 2017, pediatric cancer research got $380 million. But for 2018, they're only getting $297 million. We must do better. In 2017, $3.5 billion was allocated to researching aging. Now, I don't know what that entails, but I'm confident that it does not warrant 10 times the amount that we give our children for a disease where the median age of diagnosis is 8 years old. We must do better. We must do better. And tell me, who is it that looks at these numbers every year and says, yeah, that makes sense? Who do they answer to? Because it's about time they answer to us. It is unacceptable. We must do better. We absolutely must do better. If somebody would have done something better sooner, Philomena would be here, Marley would be here, Molly would be here, Ezekiel, Janessa, and countless others who should be here. We have to do better. And we at Storm the Heavens, we're committed for life. We will spend our very last breath fighting for these children. And I beg you, please, join us. It's time. May God bless us and join us in this battle, because without him, we will accomplish nothing. Thank you.